Next, let's talk about Steve Jobs. A lot of people say, "Well, Steve Jobs is not going to license out." Maybe not, but here's where you guys are really going to probably think I'm nuts. I really believe that Apple's going to license out OS X. I just think that there's two main reasons that it hasn't been licensed out yet. I know that's just the part where everybody goes, "Oh no, you don't know what you're talking about." Well, to give you some history, Steve Jobs basically created Next. Those of you know Next computers. He abandoned making computers to just making software. Now, there's something that I want to give you quotes from Jobs himself on that. This is Jobs, okay? While at Next. Why they went to the Next software rather than the Next computer. We knew we'd either be the last hardware company that made it or the first that didn't. And we were the first that didn't. Now, I want you to remember on what drives me in terms of the whole behavior and the whole Windows dominance. Here's Jobs at Next. We also need an alternative to Microsoft in the systems software arena. And the only hope we have for that, in my opinion, is Next. Then, I hope you grasped that statement, because I love it when Steve Jobs and I think alike on those things in terms of the Windows dominance. We also need an alternative to Microsoft in the systems software arena. And thus, he made the next, I think it's Next Step version 3.1, which was, and for the Intel chips, it was known as Next 486. Look it up, guys. Next software ran on Intel, it ran on PA RISC, it ran on Spark. And, and it's original Motorola. So, it ran on everything. Jobs had the right mentality then. And like I said in his quotes, I just think it's ironic that at that time he was thinking that, and when Windows NT at that time started going the other direction, it's like, wow, the whole dominance thing. There needs to be an alternative. The other move on why I think it's leading to an eventual licensing out is the whole Intel switch. I don't buy all the whole arguments of power per watt and all these other things, because we certainly have a lot of gadgets already running on RISC-based chips and things like that. They could have gone with another partner. They could have maintained the PowerPC. The thing of it is that was boxing them into a software niche, and they would have really suffered in terms of the whole competitive arena. And going to Intel opened up the whole world of software for them, and brought the Mac into the mainstream consumer. It was a sad day for me, because I love RISC and I wish they would continue to support just like Next Step did, all the various types of platforms. But nonetheless, I understood it, and I think that's the halfway mark to the eventual licensing out of OS X. It puts their hardware in terms of direct competition with the other OEMs. Then the next step would be putting their software in direct competition with Windows and what all else is out there. But I think there's two major things that are holding it back, and I'll go over those briefly. One, I think there's a tremendous amount of negotiation that has to occur with the OEMs existing, because Microsoft has a hard time with it already. They must support the EFI structure model that Apple wants to run on. Apple is not going to allow BIOS and all this other stuff. They want EFI full support, and the security binaries going on down. They're not going to do it any other way. That can be negotiated, because there's always a price tag to be negotiated out. The second thing is I believe that Steve Jobs wants to wait till OS X is fully 64-bit. And that is to come within Snow Leopard. And I believe once they iron out, if there are any bugs, that's ironed out, it will be ready to go. And I don't know how soon the EFI OEM thing can be negotiated, but I believe those two things, once satisfied, we will likely see OS X. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video or videos, and I'd be happy to answer any more questions and keep the PMs and responses coming. Thanks for watching.